So your kid is officially a teenager now, and the parental controls that used to work just don't anymore. They're fighting you on every single restriction. They've probably found at least one workaround. And honestly, the whole thing has turned into a daily battle at your house. Well, don't worry, I've got your back because today we are not talking about how to lock down your teen's phone. We're actually talking about how to responsibly unlock it. So I'm going to walk you through what I call the graduation plan, a 3-stage framework to move from being the screen time police to something way better, the parent your teenager actually comes to for tech advice. So let's get into it. Now, before we get into the plan, I just want to take a minute and talk about why staying in a hard control mode forever actually backfires. So think about it this way. Parental controls are like training wheels. They're incredibly useful when your kid is first learning, but if the training wheels are still on when they're 17 and heading to college, then that's a big problem. Because the goal is never the training wheels. The goal was teaching them how to ride a bike. And here's something I've noticed, and I've actually covered this before in my video about screen time bypasses, where kids are circumventing your parental controls. When a teenager finds a workaround, it's almost never really a tech problem, it's a communication gap. They found their way around the rules because nobody sat down with them to talk about what the rules were actually for. And maybe you are having those conversations, but sometimes kids can be kids and they're going to have a little bit of a rebellious streak and they are going to want to go against what you know is better for them. So here's one of the downsides of keeping strict controls on for too long. You might win every single argument, my phone, my house, my rules, and still lose the bigger conversation. The one where they're 19 and making the decisions on their own with no practice and no framework because you never let them practice while you were still watching. And I really compare this to like a credit card. So, when a kid goes to college and all of these banks decide that they are suddenly ready for a credit card, yet their parents haven't taught them how to budget prior to that, then they're going to get into a lot of credit card debt because they don't really understand how money works. So you need to teach them that so that when they do get out of the house, they're in college, they have that credit card, they know how to responsibly use that. So that is what the graduation plan is designed to fix. So let's get started. So, all right, we're in stage 1. And this entire stage is about one thing, opening a real conversation instead of a negotiation where both sides already know how it's going to end. So here's the opening move. And I really want you to try something pretty close to this exact wording because words matter here. So instead of, we're going to need to talk about your phone time or how much time you've spent on your phone, which, let's be honest, lands about as well as a dentist appointment. So try this. I've noticed that you've been really responsible with, and then pick something specific, a game, texting back when I need you, having the phone available, driving responsibly, whatever is true for your child. And then you start with, I want to start moving away from being the screen time police and want to have a more of a collaborative parental control approach. So what is one setting on your phone that drives you the craziest? And that's it. That's your opening line. We're just going to start there. So why does this work? You open with something positive. You've heard the compliment sandwich when you compliment somebody, then tell them something negative and then compliment them again. So you opened up with something positive and specific, not a generic compliment like, you do really good with your phone, something real. And then you hand them the floor. So now they're talking instead of defending. So once they tell you what bothers them the most, and they absolutely will. I mean, I don't know if you've read some of my YouTube comments lately, but they have thoughts, they have ideas. But this is where you do what I call the audit. So go ahead and have your teen pull up their screen time or their digital well-being in their Android device, whatever device they're kind of using, and look at it together. No judgment, just data. So now before you see a single word about what you see, ask them, what does this tell you? So you're not going to say, oh, wow, you are spending so much time on TikTok. You're going to say, what does this report tell you about your phone usage? Let them react first. You'll be surprised at what they notice on their own when they're not being lectured. So now from there, you're going to negotiate. I know I said it's not really a negotiation, but the negotiation part is where I know what the outcome is going to be. They don't really know what the outcome is going to be from this. So you're going to negotiate. And the key here is don't say no immediately. Put the solution back on them. So let's say your teen says that the 10 p.m. screen shutoff time is the most annoying thing because their friends are still chatting at 10:30. So, don't say no. Say, okay, what if we moved that to 10:30 for the next week? How would you make sure that you're still getting enough sleep for practice in the morning? So do you see kind of the reframework there? You move the responsibility for solving the problem onto them. And that is huge because now they're not fighting a rule, they're designing a solution. And not only does it help them really understand kind of what the limitations are or what the downsides are of what they're currently doing or why those restrictions were in place to begin with, i.e. to let them get enough sleep so they can have a good day the next day. But it also teaches them some problem-solving skills. So they see, okay, this could be a problem. Let's figure out how to solve this problem. And so I love that both of those are going to be real learning tools for your child. So the next step kind of in this conversation, these are what I call red lines. These are the non-negotiables, things that do not get negotiated no matter how well the conversation is going. So don't say, I require administrative access to all of your social media credentials. Don't say that. Say this instead. I'm totally open to relaxing the time limits, but the one rule that stays no matter what is that I need to know maybe the password to your phone. Not to spy, but so I can help you if someone ever hacks your account or if someone starts bothering you online. So you're going to have kind of a mantra that like privacy, we can start opening that window up to privacy. Safety stays, everything else pretty negotiable. So it's the same rule, but kind of a completely different landing zone. So now that you've had the conversation, we're through stage one, you've found the pain points, you've set the negotiables, now it is time for stage two. And so I know this is kind of a lot to remember. So I actually put together a one-page digital peace treaty and you can download it. It has kind of the exact prompts that you will want to use in this conversation. So you can just print it out and sit down with your teen. And this is a peace treaty, right? So initially, maybe you set up a technology use contract in your house. And so you have this technology use contract that you've already signed. So this is going to be your amendments to the Constitution, if you will. We're celebrating 250 years of the United States becoming a state. So let's talk about the amendments to the Constitution in your family. So now we're moving on to stage two. And this is what we call the beta test. I'm a tech nerd, right? So everything's going to have a tech spin to it. So the beta test is next. And I love this framing because it works for both of you. So here's what you do. You pick one restriction that your teen cares about the most, the one they've complained about the longest, and you temporarily remove it. But you're framing it, this isn't a permanent change. This is a 7-day beta test or a 14-day beta test, maybe even a month. But if your grades stay up, you're not a zombie in the morning, the change can stay. But if things slide, we're going to hit the reset for 2 weeks and then maybe try again. So, deal? So why does this work? Because for you as the parent, it's low stakes. The change is conditional, not permanent. If it goes sideways, you reset. No big loss. And for your teenager, it's a challenge to prove something, which is honestly all they've been asking this whole time. They want to prove to you that they can handle this responsibility. And so let them try and handle that responsibility. And if they succeed, awesome. And then we can proceed from there. Now, one thing though, what happens if they don't succeed? What happens if the beta test fails? Because it might, and especially the first time. So I'm going to highly recommend against treating a failed beta test like a punishment. Don't say, see, I told you weren't ready. Don't make it a thing. We're not going to go with I told you so. We're just going to recalibrate. We're going to look at the bugs in the system and figure out what we need to tweak in order for the beta test to succeed. And then give them a time frame. 2 weeks, we'll try again, or a month, we'll try again, or maybe even 6 months, just depending on what it is and what you're comfortable with. So going back is not a failure. It's just recalibrating. And you want your teenager to hear you say that out loud. A couple of things to know about the beta test window. 2-week trials work better than open-ended ones. So an open-ended one feels vague. 2 weeks is concrete. It gives you both a natural check-in point. And so what you're tracking during the beta test is not just screen time minutes. You're watching sleep, school performance, mood. Are they still talking to you at dinner? Because a teenager who is sleeping fine, keeping up with their work, and still having normal conversations with the family, that is a win. Even if their screen time technically might have gone up a little or they're staying up just a little bit later. So now let's go to the flip side. What happens when your beta test succeeds? That brings us to step 3. And this is where your job description in this company of a family is going to change a little bit. Hey, and real quick, if this is hitting home and you're realizing this conversation in your house is maybe a little overdue, go ahead and hit that subscribe. I put out new videos every week exactly on this kind of thing, making tech work for your family instead of against it. So back to stage 3. So again, this is where your job description changes. You're no longer the gatekeeper or the screen time police, as I've said. You are the consultant. And what does that look like practically? You move away from hard app blocks and toward what I call check-ins. You stay informed without staying locked down. A couple of tools that are really built for this stage specifically. The first one is Bark. Bark doesn't block everything. It monitors for concerning content and alerts you when something actually needs attention. So cyberbullying, self-harm language, predatory behavior, it's not a warden, it's more like a smoke alarm, and it goes off when there's actually smoke. I do have a link to a discount in the description below, so definitely check that out. The second option, if you're already in the Apple or Google ecosystem, is using the activity report features in Screen Time or in Google Family Link. Not the lock features, more the activity view. So, before your child is part of the family and you are managing their device through your own device. But now we're just going to check in on their activity instead of manage the device. So you can have these tech peace treaties once a week, once a month, put all of their reporting together at a weekly tech check-in, 10 minutes, no lectures, just a conversation about what you're both seeing. Hey, I see you're spending a lot of time on YouTube. I hope you're watching Family Tech, but you're spending a lot of time on YouTube and, are you able to get your homework done? Okay, yes, great. And just kind of have those check-ins so you're just the consultant now instead of the warden. Now, here's my honest take about when these conversations should happen. By 16 or 17 years old, your goal should be that your teenager is setting their own limits. You're reviewing them together, not enforcing them unilaterally. By the time that they're 18 and heading off to college or adult life, they should already have a year or 2 of practice managing their own screen time. With you watching and keeping track, with you available to be that consultant, and with you as the person they call when something goes wrong, because the relationship is now strong enough to get there. Because here's the alternative. They leave your house having only behaved when they were blocked. At first, nobody's watching. They have no framework, no practice, and no idea how to ask you for help because that relationship has never had the chance to become that consultant guide. Now, here is the downside to stage 3. It requires trust before it fully feels earned. And that is generally uncomfortable. You are practicing letting go in a safe environment, which is a much better place to practice than when they're already gone. So that's the graduation plan. We've got stage 1, the audit and the peace treaty. Open up the conversation, find the pain points, set your red line, do not cross go restrictions. And then the beta test, remove one restriction, set the conditions, and reset without judgment if it doesn't go perfectly the first time. And then stage 3, move from restricting to monitoring, and from being the gatekeeper to being the consultant. So I know letting go is scary. Genuinely, I know that. My daughter is 20, my son is 17, but the risk of holding on too long is actually bigger than the risk of letting go with a plan. So before I go, I want to hear from you. What is the one restriction you are most nervous about lifting? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and I really do love hearing where you are in this. So the weekly challenge that I will post on Instagram and also in my communities, I have a community on Instagram and one on Facebook group called The Digital Village. So make sure you check those out and respond to the weekly challenge. Did you have the peace treaty talk? And are you taking up this challenge this week as well? So if you're not quite ready for the graduation plan yet, though, your teen is still finding every workaround in the book, I do have a full video walking you through exactly how kids bypass those parental controls, how they work, and how you can stay ahead of those bypasses. I'll link it in the description below. Now, I know that a lot of the tech content out there is designed to scare you, and honestly, fear works. It gets clicks, it gets shares, but that's not what I'm here to do. I want you to feel confident about the technology in your home, not afraid of it. So if this video helped you feel a little more in control or saved you from a Google spiral, I would love it if you'd help other families find this by hitting that like button or share it with another parent, another family member, or anyone who might be dealing with the same thing. And definitely subscribe so the next tech question in your house doesn't have to start from scratch. So this is Family Tech Powering Down.